Hi folks, Rodney back again with Rodney's Door Thrust Riding Reviews. Today we're going to do a comparison on a 2024 Toyota Tacoma TRD Off-Road versus a 2017 third gen Tacoma TRD Off-Road. Before we get started on that, I've got a lot of stuff to cover today. I'm talking about the mods that I've done to the truck recently. I did just come back from a Tacoma launch, and so I can give you some insight on some of the vehicles. We did get to see a TRD Pro in person. We got to see a Trail Hunter as well. And so stay tuned, it's going to be a good video. Okay, I've had my Tacoma for what, 12 days now. Got 360 miles on the odometer, and I really haven't had any chance, to really take it out on the highway and get any real driving in yet. But I wanted to kind of talk about my overall impressions. So the first thing that you notice versus the previous gen is that the vehicle, number one, wants to drive straight down the road. If you let go of the steering wheel, it's going to try to go straight. And I remember that the third generation Tacoma always seemed to want to wander on the highway. If you've driven one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I put larger tires on it, so it comes with a 31.5-inch tire on it. I put 33s on my last one, and that seemed to exacerbate the issue. So it was a 10-ply tire. It was Bridgestone, BF Goodrich KO2s. And the one thing that I noticed right away is that it wanted to follow the grooves on the road. So steering was always a bit of an issue. So here again, wants to drive straight down the road. I did just put BF Goodrich KO3s on this truck. I did that just a couple days ago, and I probably only have 20 miles on it since I put them on. I didn't notice any difference in the way the vehicle wanted to go down the road. I do notice a little bit of a ride difference, and so keep that in mind. Anytime you put a heavier carcass tire on it, it is going to ride a little bit rougher or firmer, and that did happen. The one thing I noticed right away is that with the tires, it holds the road a lot better, and so whether you're going around a corner, just turning, you can definitely feel the difference. And that is one of the things that they really talked about. But anyway, so other impressions, it's quiet. Performance is good, really good. It's funny because you think of a 2.4 liter four-cylinder engine, and you're like, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. Will it be as good as the V6 was? The one thing about the V6 is that it is a proven engine, but it wasn't great at towing. And so what I mean by that is that it paired with the 6-speed transmission, it always seemed like it was searching for gears. And especially when you put the larger tires on it, you hit any type of a grade whatsoever, and the first thing it does is wants to shift down. What I've noticed with the 4-cylinder is that, and I'm going to flip the camera around here, so you see the turbo boost there. And a lot of that is based more on the load on the motor. So for instance, you leave the throttle in the same place, and as you hit a load, now granted we're going slow, but as you hit a grade, without having to give it any additional throttle, the turbo boost kicks in. And so it really performs totally differently than the V6 did, and it's actually a much better driving experience. You can see my fuel economy there. I just reset it yesterday, or I should say right after I got the tires. And so it's still continually picking up. And then the other thing that I'll say too is that every Toyota that I've had in the first 500 miles does not get great fuel economy. Like I said, I've got 363 on it now. I noticed this with my 2022 Tundra as well. In the first 500 miles, I got about 14.5 miles to gallon. And I thought, wow, what have I done? This mileage is terrible. I think that as time goes on, I'll still continually to get better fuel economy. The other thing too is that I noticed on my Tundra is that the turbo whistle wasn't there for probably, I don't know, somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 miles. It finally started loosening up a little bit, and I could finally start hearing the whistle. I still can't hear the whistle on this. Now granted, I might be a little hard of hearing, and so some people will probably pick up that higher whine easier than I do. But like I said, with the Tundra, I did finally start noticing it as I got more miles on it. But anyway, I really like the truck. It's comfortable, it's smooth. I did have to kind of adapt to get used to the smaller space than what I had in the Tundra. But as more and more I drive it, the more and more I appreciate the truck. I am going to drive a previous gen Tacoma here in just a little bit, and I'm going to do not only a driving comparison, but I'll also do kind of a side-by-side comparison to kind of point out some of the differences. Sorry, people are not driving very well today. But anyway, I will do a side-by-side comparison to kind of talk about some of the things that maybe some people haven't pointed out. Okay, this truck in front of me changed lanes. Now he's wanting to drive back and forth. So I'm going to have to pay attention here. But anyway, I'm going to go do a side-by-side comparison, and then I'll be able to... Okay, before we get into our comparison, I want to talk about some of the mods I've done recently. So, one of the first things that I did was I added a tonneau cover, and I'll go over and cover that here in just a moment. But a couple days ago, I did put some BF Goodrich KO3 tires on it. So the standard tire on it comes as a 265 70R17. These are a 285 70R17. So they're a little bit wider. They're still narrow enough that they still stay within the fender wells, and that was kind of important to me because I didn't want a bunch of rock chips and stuff all over the side of the truck. It does have mud guards, but honestly the mud guards are pretty small. So there again, it was kind of about protection number one. These are a C-rated tire. Now I've had the BF Goodrich KO2s before on a previous Tacoma, and they were a E-rated tire, and they were a heavy-duty tire, which is what you actually have on that truck over there. These are a little bit lighter, so you get a little better fuel economy with them. The big difference, and the reason I kind of went with the KO3s, is they're supposed to be much better in wet weather. I never had any issues with the KO2s that I had in either my Tacoma or my Tundra that I just got rid of. But these are supposed to be better in wet weather. They're supposed to be better in snow, which I always thought the KO2s were pretty good in the snow. I don't do a lot of off-roading as far as like in the mud and whatnot. So I wasn't necessarily concerned about the closer pattern, as you see there, versus the pattern on the KO2. Now, one thing that you'll notice here is that if you look at the sidewall where the lugs are up here, they're a little closer together on the KO2 than what they are on the KO3. I will say that I think that the KO3s are quieter, which they say that in the reviews. And they're obviously smoother because they're a C-rated tire instead of the E-rated tire. So anyway, did the KO2s, did do a rough country 1.5-inch leveling kit. And so they're actually very inexpensive. It's just a spacer that goes at the top of the suspension there. You will need to make sure you do an alignment afterwards, so it's not just a plug and play. Check your alignment afterwards and make sure everything's lined up properly. But I've not noticed any difference in the way the truck handles. You still have great handling. I noticed the same thing with the Tundra because I had done that on my Tundra as well. With the tires, you lose a little ride comfort than what came standard on the truck to begin with. I want to kind of talk about the tires that come on the Tacomas and also the Tundras. So Toyota, and I don't appreciate this, Toyota is doing like a joint venture with the tire company. So for instance, this truck came with a Bridgestone, or excuse me, I keep saying Bridgestone, BF Goodrich Terrain Terrell. But if you look at the tread on that, and if you were to go buy that same tire aftermarket, it would not be the same tire. The ones that are coming from the factory have less tread on them, and they're a little bit lighter. In fact, the sidewall was very flimsy, and I noticed that on the ones that I took off of this. But anyway, it's not the same exact tire. So it is lighter in weight, so I'm sure you get better fuel economy with it. But it's just long-term, it's not going to be what you're looking for if you're doing any type of off-roading. So that was the reason I changed this. Plus, I like the look of these tires. They look more aggressive. But anyway, that was one of the biggest reasons for that. If you look at the wheel wells, And then you look at the wheel wells on the 2017 model there, you get a lot more space in the 2024 model Tacomas to work with. So these being a 285/70 R17, there was no trimming done whatsoever. Everything turns fine. I've not noticed any time at all where it ever rubs. And so Toyota's helping us out with that. The other mod that I did was, it's from Syne-trac, Syne-trac USA. This is a Syne-trac retractable tonneau cover. I've had several tri-folding covers, and honestly I probably would have gone with another tri-fold. However, I couldn't find one for this truck at the time. There's just not a lot of options for it. I will say that after having this, I really like the retractable. The benefit is that you can kind of move it wherever you want it and then lock it in place. But the benefit is that, like for instance, I had a bicycle, and when I put the bicycle in there, the only way I could haul the bike, because the handlebar would stick up out of the bed, was to have it folded up so anybody could, you know, reach in and steal the bike. This way you could actually pull it closed and then lock it in place, and then, you know, prevent them from opening the rest of the cover there. The other benefit too, these are a lot more water resistant than what the tri-folding, at least the ones I've had in the past, were. But then you can also open the tailgate and still have that. Now, they recommend actually drilling holes, and I didn't want to drill any holes in the bed, so I've got the water that's going to channel it, and then the same thing up front. So this model did have the LED bed lights, which makes it nice to be able to see getting stuff in and out. You know, you got the 110 outlet there, got cargo or little storage compartment there. You've got another couple of USB ports, USB-C rather, and then the old DC 12 volt plug in there as well. So those are a couple mods that I've done recently. One of the first things that you notice anytime you put heavier duty tires on a vehicle is that you're going to lose a little throttle response and obviously fuel economy. So what I did is I did the same thing on my Tundra. I put a TRD air filter in there, and I'll show you what it looks like here in a moment. You can get them through Amazon, you can get them through your Toyota parts department. I think they're about $69. Obviously, me working for a dealership, I got a little cheaper than that, so I can't quote the exact price on it. But what I noticed right away is you get instant throttle response. Sorry about that. Instant throttle response. I did notice with my Tundra that you got better fuel economy. And honestly, I probably only put 20, maybe 25 miles on the truck since then, and I honestly can't tell you what the fuel economy is going to be yet. My truck only has, what, 370 miles on it, and I've noticed that in the first 500 miles on every Toyota that I've had, it doesn't get great fuel economy. It continually gets better after that, up to around, you know, 2,000–3,000 miles, and then it's probably pretty well broke in, and you know, you'll kind of get an average or a consistent fuel economy from there on out. So anyway, I'll keep you abreast on what the fuel economy is afterwards. But like I said, that was another option that another. Okay, some of you are going to be asking for a part number for this TRD air filter, and so I'm going to kind of hone in on it there for a few minutes. You guys can pause it, get the part number there, and then get it ordered if you like. Here's what it looks like. So it is I don't know, it's like a flexible filter casing around it, and then I'm going to show you what the actual air filter looked like that came with the truck. You can see how closed in, and then obviously how open this is. Now this is a washable filter. I've never washed mine, the ones that I had on my Tundra, but I have, you know, kind of blown them out really well, and they're very durable. Should last you for a very long time. But like I said, I noticed instant throttle response, and it just seems like it picks up a lot quicker. And what I noticed with the Tundra is it had better fuel economy. So there's that. Now, I want to kind of talk about a couple things that a lot of people are probably not aware of. So a lot of the new Tacomas, and I'm going to kind of show you here, Just read it here. It says we received a request. Well, this is Toyota sending information to me because I had a when I got my Tacoma, I noticed in the connected remote connect, it showed that it had a digital key. And so we had another Tacoma like it, and I had seen previous videos and a couple of guys mentioned that they got a credit card key with it. And this is the credit card key, but mine didn't have it in it. And so I started looking around. Well, we got another Tacoma and it looked exactly like it with a different color. And it had the credit card key with it. I'm like, well, was mine supposed to have one or was it not? So anyway, this information came from Toyota, so I had to do some research to figure out that these are the vehicles that actually have the ability to have the credit card key with it. And so these package codes here, it's going to be for like an SR model with an upgrade package, SR5 with an upgrade package. This is a TRD Sport with an upgrade package. And I may be getting part of that wrong. I know the OU is for the TRD Off-Road with the upgrade package. The PQ is for the TRD Sport with an upgrade package. The premium models, and that's what these are, that's your Sport Premium and then TRD Off-Road Premium. Those are supposed to have the key as well. So the best way for you to know, and funny thing, I just came back from the Tacoma launch and I asked Toyota, I said, well, how do we know exactly which one they're supposed to have it? And the response is, well, I don't know and I can't tell you exactly. The one thing that they did say is that if you get your key fobs, and the Tacomas are coming with 2 key fobs, and it has a digital key, that you should have the credit card key that goes with it. So I'm going to open up my Toyota app here. All right, so you can see here that I do have, I've already downloaded the digital key. I haven't activated it yet. Honestly, I don't see a reason to. Having the credit card key, I just don't have any benefit to use it. So, but I kind of want to go over the benefits to it. So with a digital key, you can pass that on to another person without giving them a key fob, and they should be able to stop the vehicle. They can lock and unlock the doors. Here's the one thing that a lot of people haven't explained. In order for the digital key to work, you have to have phone reception. So if you give a digital key to somebody and they take off and they're out somewhere where they have no phone reception, they're going to be stuck. They won't be able to start the vehicle at that point. You couldn't go into your remote connect app and start the vehicle for them, because if they don't have phone reception, chances are they're not going to be able to get the vehicle started. So Toyota, and this is my thinking, nobody's been able to tell me if I'm right or wrong, but Toyota came out with a digital key because so many people were having issues with the digital key. Now the digital key came out on the Tundra, and with the Tundra, a lot of people were only getting a single key. And so it seemed like it made sense at the time to be able to have that until that second key fob came in, because there was a shortage, and there still is to an extent. When I got my 2 key fobs with the Tacoma, I was kind of excited about that because I truly only expected to get one in the beginning. But anyway, going back to the digital key kind of, you know, it's not going to leave you stranded somewhere. Now, one thing to note, the digital key does have a shank, and I'm not going to pull it out because they say if you take it out enough times, it won't stay in there very well anymore. It is kind of hard to get out, but this little pin kind of holds it in place. The battery is very small in this, and so from the literature they've given us, it says it lasts for about a year and a half, and then the battery will probably go dead. The one thing that they have mentioned too is that don't leave it next to a charger, a microwave, or anything that's going to be possibly interference. Now, I've learned this in the past, that if you leave a key fob too close to a vehicle, it's constantly reading a code. So for instance, if somebody parks in the garage and they set their keys right inside the door, that could be close enough where it's reading that code, and it could be draining the battery, not only on the vehicle, but then also your key fob as well. So keep that in mind, put it in a storage place somewhere where it's kind of away from everything else. And it's not to be used all the time. It's just kind of, you know, an emergency situation, or if you want to give it to somebody else and not give them a key fob.